Bettendorf couple face animal neglect charges. A Bettendorf couple is facing animal neglect charges for allegedly failing to care for their sick pit bull, police said. Dennis Terrell Stewart, 38, and Vanessa Marie Brentians, 39, of 243 Brown Street, each is charged with 1 count of animal neglect causing serious injury or death. The charge is a serious misdemeanor under Iowa law that carries a jail sentence of up to 1 year and a fine between $315 and $1,895. According to Iowa law, the charge encompasses neglect that tortures, deprives of necessary sustenance, mutilates, beats, or kills an animal by any means which causes unjustified pain, distress, or suffering. The case began December 9th at about 10:15 a.m. when Stewart walked into King's Harvest Pet Rescue in Davenport with a severely malnourished gray and white pit bull, according to the affidavit held by Bettendorf Police Detective Brian Hansen. Stewart said he'd been out at Scotty County Park walking his dog when he came across the malnourished dog that was lying under a tree. Stewart said he collected the dog and rushed to the shelter. The dog was lethargic with multiple wounds and lacerations. It was not responsive and his eyes wouldn't focus and he couldn't lift his head and his temperature didn't register. Emergency procedures were begun and as the dog's temperature began to rise and fluids were administered, the dog began to respond. However, with the warming of the body and rehydration, the dog began to bleed internally and died. A necropsy found bacteria around the dog's lungs and heart, which caused pneumonia, and that the source indicated it had possibly been lying in fecal matter and urine, common occurrences in poor living conditions. On December 12th, Stewart met with Iowa Department of Natural Resources Conservation Officer David Ong at Scott County Park and showed officers where he found the dog. The area showed no signs of disturbance and unbroken weeks a foot away from the tree. There was no evidence an animal had ever been there. Police then talked to Stewart's neighbors who told officers the couple had 2 gray pit bulls in the basement. The neighbors said the dogs were never let outside. On December 18th, the wife of the property owner spoke to Animal Control Officer Darian Franklin, telling him there were 2 dogs in the home but one of them had to be euthanized the previous week. In an interview with police, Stewart said the dog's name was King and that he was born from other pit bull he and Brentian's own. King was 4 years old and developed a twisted stomach. When the couple took King to the veterinarian, they learned the surgical procedure would cost $6,000. Saying they couldn't afford that, they were given pills to possibly help the dog's condition. King was given the medication but stopped eating and drinking a few days later. Stewart said that he took the dog to King's Harvest with a concocted story because he couldn't kill the dog himself. When police searched the home, they went to the garage, which is under the main floor of the home and is part of the basement. The floor was covered with excrement mixed with dry dog food. Stewart said he'd put the dogs in the garage when no one was home and that he cleans the garage once a year. In his affidavit, Hansen said that Stewart and Brentians were responsible for making sure the dog received medical attention and not allow the dog to live in poor conditions and suffer. Stewart was arrested Thursday and placed in Scott County Jail. He was released after a $1,000 cash-only bond. He's scheduled to be arraigned on the charge February 20th in Scott County District Court. Brentians was arrested Friday at the Scott County Courthouse but was not booked into the jail. She was released on her own recognizance after making a first court appearance. She's also scheduled to be assigned on the February 20th.